Hello, everyone. My name is Chuck Parker. I'm the Vice President of Content here at PBS Hawaii. Joining me is Jesse Makadang, the director of this wonderful and long overdue film, In Hawaiian Hands, Reggae in Hawaii, Part One, Roots of Creation. This film is available only exclusively on our digital platforms at PBS Hawaii, our YouTube channel, or pbshawaii.org, our website. Not on broadcast, just on our digital platform. So spread the word. It's there on demand. You can watch it anytime, as many times as you want, and I recommend you do that. So, Jesse, congratulations on a
Thank you.
wonderful film. I know a lot of work went into this, and I'm going to ask some of the obvious questions with that. We'll start with first, though. What spawned the idea? What gave you the inspiration to take on this challenge?
Well, the story itself I felt was underrepresented. It's not a story that you hear told too often in terms of our history, our culture, and our music. So that was one. And second, I mainly create digital content for PBS. And so along that vein, it's something that's kind of new here. And it reaches a different audience than we normally do, broadcast wise. So, picking a subject matter that's something that you wouldn't normally expect from us. That was the second reason. And then reason three is because I felt the story was underrepresented. I also felt that a lot of you guys, a lot of the artists, I should say, they don't uh, get their flowers like they should, so to speak. So to kind of shine a light on the people that kind of defined the sound of this generation, last generation, really the past 40 years of local contemporary music.
How to extend on that? So then you got to start at the beginning. So hence the title, Roots of Creation, Part One
Right.
of this three-part series. For those of
Right.
you
That
who weren't
that
aware.
title that title comes from a song off of Butch Hadimano's first album, Sugar and Spice. There's a song on there called Roots of Creation. So that's why it's titled that.
Excellent. So then the next question for me is, how did you find the people that you interviewed? Because to go back to the roots of creation, the beginning, you got to find those people. So talk about that effort and tracking them down, to get them to be part of this film.
Yeah. So really the first hurdle was to get kind of a baseline list of interviewees that would tell the story and kind of identifying that the story wasn't just about reggae, and what we call roots reggae or Hawaiian roots reggae or Hawaiian music or island music. There's kind of two different schools of reggae in terms of here in Hawaii. So kind of identifying that and who would be the best to speak on that. And so our first two interviews were Billy V and Ja Gumby, who is in Uklalamak. Uh, and so Billy spoke to the Hawaiian era, and Gumby spoke to the roots style of music. And it was going from there, building the story from there. Growing up here, you're gonna know something about local reggae music. But I didn't know the details of it, the detailed history of it, and I kind of kept that intentional. So I would be asking my interviewees questions from a person from a place of um, kind of education, because that's how I wanted to present the film. And so I started with the baseline of, three or four people I identified as people that would be able to tell me a story, and then kind of branched out from there as I filled in the blanks. One big one was Sunaina Kalish. She served as kind of the narrator. She popped up from time to time throughout the film. She did her dissertation on reggae in Hawaii, so she was able to fill in a lot of the blanks and um, clue me in on a lot of the history, a lot of the people involved early on in the 70s and 80s.
I like that. So not only were the answers organic, so were the questions to really get to the roots of the story. Congratulations on that. Here's a question we got earlier about this. Actually, first a comment from Charles Bowler. Your sourcing, perfect use of historic footage was so impactful. here's a key question. Was the footage difficult to find?
It's harder to find footage from the 70s than it is to find for like B-roll for the 1910s. Like, you can't find stuff in the state archives on, Jubilee nightclub or Sparky's Lounge and stuff like that. So we had to rely on social media and the artists themselves. And, a lot of this stuff is 30, 40, 50 years old or, packed away in boxes, so it's not available. It was very difficult. Yeah, we're lucky to get the stuff that we got. Video at LCC of Cool Runnings playing one of their gigs because they haven't been around for that long. But there was a video of a performance. Yeah, Butch performing in Brazil. Yeah, we just got really lucky finding the stuff that we did get.
No, you got to be good to be lucky, though. From what a smart person told me that once, and not just the footage, though, but even the posters, the albums, the album covers. That's not as easy as people think to go find these things.
Yeah, and not a lot of people save them. That's why, not a lot of people have the foresight to save all this stuff. Marilyn Mick, who was to be a big resource of this, she's a concert promoter, unfortunately passed before I got to interview her, but she had a trove of memorabilia and uh, posters and all kinds of stuff, and we never got to connect on that. But yeah, some of that stuff, it's not, you don't think about keeping it, so it's gone. The posters, the shirts, yeah.
So that's a note to you folks out there. Hold on to what you think, maybe I don't need this down the road, but it might come very handy
Yeah,
for
40
you. And I
years
want,
from now, somebody here at PBS is going to want to do a documentary on it. So,
yes, and you can be on TV if you hold on to it. A little shout out to our predecessors here at PBS Hawaii who covered some of the early music scene that was in the film via a program called Spectrum Hawaii, which we now run as Classics. Clips of Brother Nolan, Pagan Babies, and others, and that really it validated everything you've come up with for this film and also aided having that footage and then being interview some people who were involved in those bands, Brother Nolan and others. It was excellent. That leads to another a question here from Scott Mosier. How did you decide which threads to follow? So many of the groups led to other groups, big and small.
uh, I kind of didn't decide it. I just followed all the threads because, like I said, I kind of kept ignorant on purpose and let the interviewees tell me where to go. If you recognize that there's no narrator in the film, it's all coming from the voices of the people themselves. And so they would tell me, this person was instrumental here, and that led to this bad and this bad and this bad, and then I would just go down rabbit holes and just contact people, see who I could get just to fill in all the blanks. Yeah, it's yeah, like I said before, identifying that there were two main schools of reggae, that you cannot tell the story one without the other. Um, and then just those two alone branch out. Yeah, it was just figuring out how to package all that was we got people to willingly give up the information. Oh, it's this person, is that person, but then to try and tie it all together, not ignore one thread. Uh, that was the more of the challenge.
I'm going to add something to that was running through the questions we got earlier. So, full disclosure, I don't consider myself that knowledgeable about reggae music in Hawaii or reggae music in general, but I learned a lot watching your film. But also, as I was watching, I recognized all of that music growing up here, in high school and college, every single bit of that. I was like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. But yet I wasn't smart enough to hold on to posters and shirts and album covers. So congratulations for finding all that. I wanted to go a step further here. So something to consider how lucky we are here in Hawaii to have such a diversity of musical options to enjoy, all done by local artists. Can't exclude the national, international artists that for what they did, but Hawaii artists have always had the ability to adapt something new and put their own mark on it, and that includes reggae music. And I think you see that in your film with the artists you interviewed.
Yeah. Um, yeah, there's always been outside influence in our music. Even the music that you would call traditional Hawaiian music is influenced by, you know, Western influences. So yeah, reggae was just one in another outside influence on our music. And yeah, it was important to express that because I think a lot of the argument when it comes to reggae in Hawaii or what was called Hawaiian and now island music is kind of the concept that um we our music is kind of untouched or pure, authentic, not influenced by anything else, and it really never has been that way. And so when the discussion of should local people, should Hawaiians be playing reggae music, well, they were playing pop and rock before that. I think Brother Nolan said, he listed off all his rock influences in the film. Um, yeah, that's the conversation. That's the discussion. We'll get into it more in part two and part three, but yeah.
He's ahead for those who are now wondering, watching this wondering. So part two in June, part three coming in September, dates to be determined. So stay tuned for that. Were there any moments for you just that stood out while making this film? Maybe, one or two moments that were like, you know, pop up right away?
Uh, Yeah, it was. I would say the shoot at the Shell was kind of a weird. Well, we did two shoots at the Shell. We had one with Danny Kennedy. We only saw briefly in part one. You'll see more in part two. But Kelly Boy, we shot at the Shell as well. Um, but to just be there, like we were alone in the Shell. It was empty. There was nothing going on, and it was just us with him. And to see the empty Shell, and to have Kelly Boy, who I saw from the lawn many times in the middle of a crowded, shell, and to be there like in the middle of the day and it's empty, just birds. You hear the birds in the shot, and helicopters, and it's just him sitting on a chair playing ukulele. That was crazy. Well, a lot of moments similar to that where we interview artists, and it's like it's just us here, and we're just talking about what you do. Um, and that was, a lot of them were super generous with their time, so I appreciate that.
Cool. And speaking of what you do, so among your many talents that include storytelling, producing, maintaining the PBS Hawaii website, YouTube page, you're also a musician. You play the
Oh.
ukulele. So when you do have time to play, sorry to put you on the spot, but when you do have time to play, what's your go-to music style?
Uh, I don't know, whatever puts my baby to sleep. So
Yeah,
I'd say
good
Rockabye
answer.
Fantasy Twinkle Twinkle is a standard. I just want to clarify, I play the ukulele, I'm not a musician. I
Fair enough.
play,
Fair
I
enough.
sing, but
Yeah.
I'm not a singer, you know what I
Okay,
mean?
okay. That's still a step ahead of many of us, so very good. Congrats on that. So what we screened today, or next, you'll see this on the website, is part one of three parts of the documentary In Hawaiian Hands, the story of reggae in Hawaii. And as I mentioned earlier, part two coming in June, part three in September. Any little tease on what's going to be in part two?
Yeah, we're gonna get into Jawaiian, and if you know anything about that era of music and the discussion around culture and appropriation, we're gonna get into that. Uh, that's the bulk of part two. Part three, we're gonna get into. We'll kind of try to do chronological. So part one was 70s, 80s, up until mid 80s ish. Part two is gonna be Hawaiian, so late 80s to like 91, 92 ish. That's the launch of KCCN FM. And then part three kind of covers what led from that, the evolution of what was Hawaiian, which kind of turned into island music, and where we are in terms of music and culture and whatnot.
It's exciting. Looking forward to both of those. So thank you, Jesse, for all your work in putting together this great documentary that is absolutely worth watching. So
Thank you.
in Hawaiian Hands, Reggae in Hawaii, part one, Roots of Creation, on the website exclusively, also on our YouTube page. Parts 2 and 3 coming up. Part 2 in June, part 3 in September. Please tune in, spread the word. So thank you all for tuning in, and congrats again, Jesse. Great job.
Thank you.